Chosen one, have you ever found yourself in the quiet of the night, with tears silently streaming down your face, asking God a question that feels too heavy for your own heart to carry? Why them and not me? You see the announcements on social media. You attend the baby showers. You hold the children of your friends and family, and with every smile you offer, a small piece of your own heart breaks. The ache of an empty cradle is a unique and profound sorrow, a silent grief that the world often does not know how to acknowledge. It can leave you feeling broken, overlooked, and perhaps worst of all, forgotten by the very God who promised to never leave you nor forsake you. You have prayed, you have fasted, you have believed, you have stood on His promises. Yet the silence from heaven on this one specific desire feels deafening. It is easy to let the whispers of the enemy creep in, telling you that you are unworthy, that something is wrong with you, or that God's goodness is for everyone else but you. But I need you to hear me very clearly right now. Your season of waiting is not a sign of God's rejection. It is not a punishment for some past sin, and it is certainly not an accident in the divine calendar. Your current state is not barrenness. It is a period of sacred preparation. Your perceived delay is actually divine protection and alignment for something so much greater than you can currently comprehend. In this message today, we are going to uncover 4 profound revelations about why God has not yet given you a child. And if you can grasp these truths, it will completely transform your perspective. It will fortify your faith against the storms of doubt. It will guard your heart from the poison of bitterness. And it will powerfully remind you that any season of waiting on God is never, ever wasted time. Let us begin. 1. God is preparing the vessel and protecting the promise. Before God places a precious, heaven-sent promise into your hands, He must first ensure that the hands and the home that will receive it are fully prepared for the weight of its glory. Your desire for a child is righteous and good, but God's perspective is eternal. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the spiritual warfare that surrounds a child of destiny, and He knows the strength that will be required to raise that child in a world that is increasingly hostile to the things of God. Your waiting season is not emptiness. It is an intensive training ground. This is God's divine incubator, where He is forging in you the character, the patience, the resilience, and the unshakable faith necessary to be the parent of the specific child He has ordained for you. Think of it like this. You would not put a priceless piece of art in a house with a leaking roof and a crumbling foundation, would you? Of course not. You would first repair the foundation, fix the roof, and secure the environment to protect the masterpiece. In the same way, God is working on your foundation. He is healing hidden wounds from your own childhood that you may not even be aware of. He is strengthening the foundation of your marriage so that it can withstand the pressures that a new life brings. He is teaching you to depend on Him in a way you never have before, because He knows that parenthood will demand a level of reliance on Him that you cannot yet imagine. This season is where He detoxes you from self-reliance and teaches you the language of complete surrender. Some of you are waiting for a child, but God is protecting that future child from the unhealed parts of you. He loves you too much to give you a blessing that would ultimately be harmed by your own unresolved pain. And He loves your future child too much to place them in an environment that is not yet spiritually fortified. Consider the story of Hannah in the book of 1 Samuel. The Bible says her womb was closed by the Lord. She endured years of torment and ridicule from her rival, Peninnah. Her heart was in deep anguish. She wept bitterly before the Lord in the temple, so much so that the priest Eli mistook her for being drunk. That is a deep and visceral pain. But God was not punishing Hannah. He was preparing her. He was cultivating in her a desperation for God that went beyond the mere desire for a child. He was positioning her to birth not just any son, but Samuel, the prophet who would anoint the first 2 kings of Israel. Samuel's destiny was monumental, and such a destiny required a mother whose foundation was built not on societal expectation, but on a deep, covenantal relationship with God. Her years of waiting cultivated a prayer life so powerful and a heart so surrendered that when God finally gave her the promise, she was able to give Him right back to the Lord. That is the kind of parent God is building in you, one who understands that your children are not your possessions. They are arrows in the hand of a warrior, entrusted to you for a season to be shaped, sharpened, and aimed toward their God-given destiny. So do not despise this process. What feels like a delay is actually God doing deep spiritual surgery on your heart, your character, and your home. He is protecting the promise, and He is perfecting the vessel. Every tear you cry is watering the soil of your heart, making it fertile ground for the seed of destiny He is about to plant. 2. God is fortifying the covenant of your marriage. In the divine order of God, the marital union comes before the child. The covenant between husband and wife is the bedrock upon which a godly family is built. A child does not fix a broken marriage. A child exposes the cracks that are already there. The pressures of parenthood, the sleepless nights, the financial strain, the differing opinions on discipline. All of these things act as a divine pressure test on the foundation of a relationship. God, in His infinite wisdom and love for you, often withholds a child until He knows that the foundation of the marriage is strong enough to not only survive but thrive under that pressure. He prioritizes the health of your covenant because He knows that the most important gift you can give a child is two parents who are unified in love, in purpose, and in faith. This season of waiting, as painful as it may be, is a divine invitation for you and your spouse to turn toward each other instead of turning on each other. It is a time to learn how to communicate through disappointment, how to pray together with fervency, how to comfort one another in grief, and how to stand united against the enemy who seeks to use this very situation to sow seeds of blame, resentment, and division. God is using this time to weld you together as one, to teach you how to be a team, so that when the child comes, you are not two individuals trying to raise a baby, but a unified force of God, an unbreakable team ready for the assignment of parenthood. Look at the story of Abraham and Sarah. They waited for 25 long years for the promised son, Isaac. During that time, their faith was tested to its limits. They made mistakes. They grew impatient. They tried to help God out with their own plans through Hagar, which brought immense pain and conflict into their lives. Yet through it all, God was working on their covenant. He was teaching them to trust Him above their own logic, above their own biological limitations, and even above their own mistakes. By the time Isaac was born, Abraham and Sarah had been through the fire together. Their relationship was no longer built on the youthful hope of building a family, but on the seasoned, tested, and proven faithfulness of God. Their shared history of waiting and trusting created a bond between them that was unbreakable. God was not just building a nation through them. He was building a marriage that could sustain the weight of that monumental destiny. The truth is simple. Your future child needs a unified front. They need to be born into a home where prayer is the first response, not the last resort. They need to see a model of love and forgiveness between their parents. They need to feel the security that comes from a home where the husband and wife are submitted first to God and then to one another. So if you are in this season of waiting, see it as God's grace upon your marriage. He is giving you a sacred time to build something that will last a lifetime. Use this time to go deeper with one another. Pray for each other. Study the Word together. Dream together about the kind of parents you want to be. Forgive each other freely. Love each other fiercely. God is not just preparing you to be a parent. He is preparing you to be a parenting team. He is fortifying the covenant so that when the blessing comes, it comes into a home that is a reflection of His own love for the church, a home that is not just a house, but a sanctuary. 3. God is aligning the timing with a kingdom assignment. We often view the desire for a child through the lens of our own personal fulfillment, our own timeline, and our own dreams, and while those things are valid, God's perspective is always much larger. Every child born has a purpose and a destiny in the grand tapestry of God's kingdom plan. The timing of their arrival on earth is not random. It is strategically and divinely orchestrated to align with their specific calling. Sometimes, God's delay in answering your prayer is because He is aligning seasons, people, and events in the world to create the perfect environment and timing for your child's destiny to be fulfilled. Your child may be called to be a leader in a future revival, an innovator who solves a global problem, a voice of truth in a generation of confusion, or a vessel of healing in a broken world. Their arrival must be perfectly timed, not too early and not too late. The skills, the gifts, and the anointing on their life are needed for a specific moment in history, and God is holding them in eternity until that perfect moment arrives. Consider the profound story of Elizabeth and Zechariah. The Bible describes them as righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. Yet, they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. From a human perspective, their time had passed. Their story seemed to be over. But God was operating on a different calendar, a kingdom calendar. He was not just planning to give them a son to comfort them in their old age. He was planning to send a prophet, the forerunner who would prepare the way for the Messiah, Jesus Christ. John the Baptist's assignment was one of the most critical in all of human history. He had to be born at the precise moment to be the right age to begin his ministry just before Jesus began his. If he had been born 10 years earlier, the timing would have been off. If he had been born 5 years later, the plan would have been disrupted. The decades of Elizabeth and Zechariah's waiting, their years of prayer, their silent suffering, it was all part of a divine timetable that had nothing to do with their worthiness and everything to do with the monumental assignment on their son's life. God was not denying them. He was aligning them with a purpose far greater than they could have ever imagined. Their personal longing was intricately woven into the salvation plan for all of humanity. In the same way, the child that you are praying for has a kingdom assignment. God is not just preparing you for the child. He is preparing the world for the child. He is arranging circumstances, moving political landscapes, and shifting spiritual atmospheres. He is waiting for the perfect moment when the ground is ready for the specific seed he wants to plant through your family. This understanding should shift your prayer from, God, give me a child, to God, prepare me for the assignment on my child's life. Align my heart with your kingdom timing. When you begin to see your waiting through the lens of your child's destiny, it changes everything. Your season is no longer a painful delay, but a strategic and holy pause. You are a co-laborer with God, waiting in faith for the appointed time when He will release a world changer through your womb and into your home for His glory. 4. God is cultivating the soil of complete surrender. This may be one of the most difficult but powerful revelations to embrace. Sometimes, God waits to give us the deepest desires of our hearts until He knows that the desire itself has not become an idol. An idol is anything that takes the place of God in our hearts, anything we believe we must have in order to be happy, fulfilled, or worthy. In His fierce and jealous love for you, God will not allow anything or anyone to occupy the throne of your heart, because He alone belongs there. The desire for a child is a good desire, but even a good desire can become a God desire when it consumes our thoughts, dictates our emotions, and becomes the sole focus of our relationship with God. Our prayers can become a list of demands rather than a conversation of intimacy. Our worship can become a transaction to get what we want, rather than a pure offering of love, and our joy becomes conditional upon our circumstances. God waits, not to be cruel, but to be kind. He waits for us to come to a place of complete and total surrender, the place where we can honestly say from the depths of our soul, God, you are enough. If I never hold a child of my own in my arms, you are still good, you are still faithful, and you are still all that I need. This is the place of true freedom. It is the place where the blessing can be received without it becoming a snare. It is the place where the gift does not replace the giver. Think of the ultimate test of surrender in the Bible, the story of Abraham and Isaac. After 25 years of waiting, God finally gave Abraham the promised son. Isaac was the miracle, the fulfillment of the promise, the future of an entire nation. And then, God asked Abraham to do the unthinkable, to offer Isaac as a sacrifice on Mount Moriah. This command makes no sense from a human perspective. It seems cruel and contradictory. But God was not testing Abraham's love for Isaac. He was testing the position of Isaac in Abraham's heart. God was asking the ultimate question, do you love the promise more than the promise keeper? Has the gift become your God? And when Abraham demonstrated his willingness to surrender everything, to place his most cherished desire on the altar, God intervened. He provided a ram in the thicket. He did not need Isaac's life. He needed Abraham's heart. It was only after Abraham passed this test of ultimate surrender that God released the fullness of His covenantal blessing over him, saying, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. The breakthrough often comes at the point of breaking. When you finally release your white-knuckled grip on your desire and open your hands in surrender to God, that is when He is often ready to place the blessing within them. Because at that point, He knows. He can trust you with it. He knows you will steward the gift with an open hand, always acknowledging Him as the source. He knows you will raise that child to love and honor Him above all else. So today, I encourage you to bring your desire to the altar, grieve the pain, pour out your heart, but then release it into His loving hands. Surrender your timeline. Surrender your expectations. Surrender your very definition of what you think your family should look like, and trust His wisdom, His timing, and His goodness. The point of surrender is not the end of your hope. It is the beginning of true faith. It is the fertile ground from which miracles are born. Child of God, listen to my voice. Your season of waiting is not abandonment. It is divine appointment. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. The God who knit you together in your mother's womb has not forgotten your own womb. The God who numbers the stars in the sky and calls them each by name has not forgotten the desires He Himself placed within your heart. This season feels long because you are measuring it with an earthly clock, but God is working on a kingdom timeline. He is doing a deep and sacred work within you, within your spouse, and within the spiritual realm. He is building your character. He is fortifying your marriage. He is aligning destinies. And He is calling you into a deeper place of surrender and trust than you have ever known. Do not allow bitterness to take root in your heart. Do not compare your journey to someone else's, for comparison is the thief of joy and the enemy of faith. Your story is unique, and the testimony that will come from it will be a powerful testament to the faithfulness of a God who works all things together for the good of those who love Him. When your time comes, and it will come, God will not just give you a baby. He will give you a legacy. He will give you a child of promise, a child of destiny, one who will carry His light into the next generation, someone whose life will be a testament to your faith and His power. The years of waiting will be swallowed up in the joy of the fulfillment, and you will look back on this season not with regret, but with gratitude, because you will see how God used every moment to shape you into the parent your child would need. So stand firm. Do not grow weary in doing good. For at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Keep praying, keep trusting, keep surrendering. Your story is not ending in barrenness. Your story is unfolding into a beautiful testimony of God's redemptive power. Trust His timing, trust His heart, trust His plan. For what God has for you is so worth the wait. God bless you.